G'day guys, I hope you're doing well out there. In today's topic, we're sitting down with Tennis New South Wales CEO Lawrence Robertson to discuss strategic planning. Obviously this is extremely important for all of our clubs and there are a heap of golden nuggets in this conversation. So I hope like me, you're excited to get into it. Alright, let's go. Welcome Lawrence, it's great to have you here today.
Hi Mark, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you, mate. Obviously, a strange scenario that we continue to work through in COVID and working remotely. How are things at your end, mate?
Yeah, I would say it's been an interesting 5 or 6 weeks for all of us, and on both a business and personal level. I think it's always amazing how quickly we as animals just adjust to the environment, and so what seemed very strange and sort of disconcerting 5, 6 weeks ago has now become very normal. Our way of life has adapted very quickly. But in terms of the tennis community, I think certainly those coaches that rely on our sport for a livelihood, they've demonstrated their ability to be incredibly flexible and adapt very quickly. And private lessons, yeah, that's no problem. If that's what I need to do to get the revenue in, we'll do that. We've seen those venues that have remained open for court hire gone through the roof, and particularly those with online booking, they've really benefited in the last 2 or 3 weeks when overall people have been looking for an outlet for exercise. They've been wanting to get out of the house, and we've been fortunate because we're one of the few sports that can remain open. We can still maintain social distancing, and so a number of our venues have really benefited from that. So yeah, it's been a really challenging, but at the same time quite enlightening in many ways for me personally, and how we operate as a business over the past few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you're spot on there. The ability for our clubs, our committees, and especially our coaches to be agile in a time such as this, and to be able to be respectful to government requirements and public community requirements, but then being able to adjust their business on the fly is phenomenal. So I think you're very spot on. Today's chat, obviously our field team with restrictions aren't able to get out and reach all of our stakeholders as much as we'd like to, but we still want to see some real benefit, growth, education, engagement. So today we're talking about strategic planning and the importance of strategic planning. At a high level, tell us about the importance of strategic planning and some of the experiences you've had in some of those larger commercial environments with strategy.
Yeah, look, I've made reference to this before, Mark, that like with any individual athlete, with a sports team, like an organization, I think you always need a battle plan. You kind of need to know how you're going to tackle a specific problem or a specific athlete or a specific organization or team. And usually the first thing you do is you look at, well, where are our strengths and where are our weaknesses? What have we got? And then what do we need to do in order to achieve that? So, usually the first thing is a kind of an understanding of where a club is, or what the organization, or where the organization is. And that was one of the first things I did when I joined, was really just trying to get a feel for where we were and how our members viewed us and how the state of the sport was. And then from there, if you start to hear some consistent areas for focus, then you can from then start to build your strategic plan and identify your priorities, I guess. I think it's really important that for some of our clubs, when they hear strategy and strategic planning, it all sounds very sort of corporate and very ASX listed kind of vernacular. But I think the critical thing is, like, as I say, like in a sporting perspective, on a tennis match, you might have watched and analysed your own opponent. You might know you've got a great serve, so their opponent's weak on the forehand, but you've got a great serve. Okay, well, I need to capitalise on my serve, but at any opportunity, I'm going to take advantage of their weak forehand. And I don't think running a tennis club is any different. Just understanding, are our participations programs as strong as possible? Are we connected with as many schools as we can be? Are we getting the most out of our coach? Do we have a coach? What's our relationship like with the council? What investment do we need to make in the property in the next 3 years? I don't think these things are particularly challenging. I think most of the time our clubs think building a strategic plan means, a 100-page document. Some of the best strategies I've put together, I've been able to articulate on 1 page. And when you can do that and you can show it to your team, and a bit like where we've landed now, what are our 3 key drivers? Our clubs, coaches, and councils, and what are our 4 pillars? Places, play, promote, and people. That's it. It's really simple. Now, underneath that, the detail about what you're actually going to do to move the dial is obviously required. But I think every club committee can sit down and say, well, what are the 3 things we're going to try and get done in the next 12 months?
That is a very comprehensive answer. You answered about my next 3 questions all within that one.
Sorry.
So you've thrown my interview a little bit here, Lawrence. But I think that the key thing and probably one of the key points that I was going to bring up was around that strategic plans aren't complicated. And I think that strategy on a page is spot on. It makes it such an easy document that at a club and committee level, coach level, you can review once a month at a high level, and maybe once every 6 months in detail, because it's there, it's simple, everyone knows where you're going, and you highlighted just at the end there the real reason why you're traveling in that direction. You know, that's what's going to drive us to success. With Okay, if we're talking about a strategy on a page, what would be your 5 things that had to be on there? If you had to have only 5 things on a page, what would they be?
That's a really good question. I mean, the one thing first of all is what's the unifying vision or objective? For an organization, we talk about our vision, right? So for us, it's about getting more people connected to tennis in New South Wales. For a local tennis club is, to be a vibrant tennis club that serves the local community. It might just be that overarching mission statement, vision, objective, call it what you will. And I think once everyone in the committee can go, right, well, that's what we want this club to be. And some people might say, a financially stable tennis club for our tennis members. It could be as simple as that. That's okay. But I think that you need to have clear sight of what you're trying to do. I think, underneath that, you need to have an understanding of what the current situation is. Okay, so what's our current SWOT analysis? What have we done? What are we doing well? Where are we not doing so well? Where are the opportunities? Where are the threats? So, really simple SWOT. And again, these things are not particularly complicated. So what's our current base position? We've spoken about what we're trying to get to. And then I think, there's probably an agreement on what the 3 priorities might be. Now, they may be really specific around, we need to replace, courts 5 and 6 in, the next 12 months, or it may be we want to improve our facilities over the next 5 years. And then underneath that, you have specific plans that will go towards that overarching. So I'd say 2 or 3 sort of clear strategic priorities or pillars, call it what you will. And then I think the last 2 points would be, okay, how are we going to measure our success in these areas? And then who's responsible for delivering against it, right? Because the president or the treasurer themselves can't just be the one responsible. So if it's about infrastructure, well, you might have someone who's going to lead the project, but they're going to need to rely on council. They're going to need to rely on us. They're going to need to rely on TA. Who's the project sponsor? Who's the lead individual that's going to take responsibility for it? Because we've all been in those meetings where the action list is, well, we said we were going to do this and there wasn't a name against it. It was like, well, who said they were going to pick this up? And then everyone puts their hands up and says, well, that wasn't for me. So I guess I'm just trying to summarize. So clear vision, an understanding where you are, where your priorities are going to be, who's responsible for driving the priorities, and then ultimately, how are you going to measure success in each of those areas? So if there are 5 guiding principles to building a plan, I think that would be it, or those would be it.
Brilliant, mate. That's the last one for me. The measurement side of it is just so vital. I always, with my team, talk about what gets measured gets managed. And so definitely ensuring that we put those metrics in place at the beginning helps us to really focus on where we need to go and reassess if we aren't heading towards that right number, we can adjust our pathway.
Yeah, and look,
Um,
I think, sorry, just to finish off, I don't think any organisation, or even any tennis player, would walk on for a practice session, even for a season, and say, well, look, I've looked at my first serve percentage, I need to improve that. So it's down at 62%. I want to get that up to closer to 70%. Every effective athlete, team, organization are not afraid of measuring, and also not afraid of recognizing at times when they're not going to hit the measurement. But what are we learning from why we're not hitting the measurement? Is it a resource? Do we not have enough money to do that? You learn from those failures, and not just saying, well, we just didn't achieve it, so let's not do it. You say, well, actually, if we got more money, we might be able to do it, or if we got more support from here, we might still be able to achieve it. So the measurement aspect is so key, but it's the one I think most of the time people are afraid to put in place because they're afraid of failure.
yep, absolutely, mate. Fear gets in the way of a lot of our successes, I think. Um, and so finally, obviously, building this strategy is great for internally within the organization and seeing your pathway and seeing where you're going. But externally with our stakeholders such as state government, Office of Sport, people who are offering grants, vitally important. Yes.
Look, I think I would say not vitally important, but it's an almost essential. We're in an age now where no longer can the local MP turn a favour, or can the local councillor just turn a favour. Everything needs to be rationalised and needs to be scrutinised appropriately, and that and at any stage, when our clubs are seeking grants or any level of support, and it's no different when we have clubs come to us for seeking support. What we want to try and understand is, okay, well, what are you currently doing to help align with the strategy that we have in place and our overarching goal of just trying to simply grow the game. And so, I think in terms of any funding requests or grant requests, to demonstrate how that grant will align to the club's ambitions, align with the sport's ambitions, with the local community's ambitions, just makes the consideration by those bodies that are handing out the money that much easier, rather than we'd like 25,000 for a shade next to court 12 because midweek ladies would like to have a little bit more shade during their break. It just well, we've just got to raise our level of thinking at times when we do go to the well, and I think that's from our perspective. I think as a state organization, we were I'd say not at a level I would have expected in terms of aligning with a wider government strategic planning and how we fitted into that across the state. And so I think we've addressed that. But I think it's really important for a club at a local level to think, what are the local sport and recreation plans? What are the community plans? What's my ask going to do in terms of aligning that?
Perfect, Lawrence. Very clear, succinct answer there. That yeah, that strategic alignment piece is a final key that just needs to be considered definitely, and is essential, like you said. Thanks for your time. A lot of great golden nuggets within there, and our field team will definitely be keen to get out and help our clubs start to action some of these strategic plans.
Thanks, Mark, and look after yourself. And I know everyone down in that part of the world are also doing their bit on behalf of the tennis community. So I do want to thank them. I think the whole of the tennis family have responded incredibly well to this challenge. We've not had any media reports around incidents of any nature at all, and I think that's testament to how we have embraced this situation as a sport, and I do believe we'll come out the other side of it stronger. So look after yourself, and give my regards to everybody down in your neck of the woods.
Thanks, Lawrence. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye.